our global presence and our pride. Welcome to the International Conference on Small Satellites. Small satellite services to anybody, anywhere, anytime. This conference aims to provide a platform to highlight recent technologies, potential avenues, challenges and opportunities. We are privileged to have amongst us the who's who pertaining to the field. We welcome and recognize the presence of Honorable Chief Guest Shri Somanath, Chairman of Indian Space Research Organization, and also the Secretary, Department of State, Government of India. We welcome and recognize your presence, sir. We're also privileged to have amongst us the presiding officer of the day, the Chief Patron, Honorable Member of Parliament and Chancellor, lovely Professor University, Shri Ashok Mittalji. A worthy Pro-Chancellor, Mrs. Rashmi Mittal. We are also privileged to have amongst us Dr. V. Kateshwara Rao, President, Society for Small Satellite Services and former Scientific Secretary, ISRO. Privileged to have Dr. P.S.R. Srinivasa Sastry, Director of Special Projects, DRDO, Hyderabad. Dr. Subbarao Purvaluli, President, Satcom Industry Association Chairman and Managing Director, Nant Technologies Limited. Our Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Raviraj Gupta, sir. Professor D.V.A. Raghavamurthy, Adjunct Professor and Advisor, Center for Space Research, lovely Professor University. Professor Monica Gulati, Executive Dean of Research and Development, lovely Professor University. We're also privileged to have amongst us the eminent scientists, researchers, and the industrialists pertaining to the small satellite services. Also special welcome to the heads of faculty, schools, division, faculty, staff, and students of LPU. And also a special welcome to the delegates, dignitaries of the conference from various strata and parts of the country, and of course the hardworking organizing committee of this wonderful international conference. We'd like to begin the ceremony by a floral welcome. I deem it a privilege to request the presiding officer, Member of Parliament, Shri Ashok Mittalji, to present a bouquet to the Chief Guest, Shri S. Somanath, Chairman, ISRO, and Secretary, Department of State, Government of India. Requesting Pro-Vice Chancellor Dr. Raviraj Gupta, sir, to please accord a floral welcome to the presiding officer, Member of Parliament, Shri Ashok Mittalji. Dr. Raviraj sir again to do the honors to welcome Dr. V. Kateshwara Rao, President, Society of Small Satellite Services. Can we have a big round of applause, please? The energy should keep on flowing. Requesting Executive Dean Dr. Monica Gulati to present a floral welcome to worthy Pro-Chancellor, Mrs. Rashmi Mittal. Also to do the honors, presenting a token of floral welcome by Dr. Monica Gulati ma'am to Dr. P.S.R. Srinivasa Sastry, Director from the Director of Special Projects, DRDO, Hyderabad. The honors by presenting a bouquet to Dr. Subbarao Purvaluli, to Dr. Professor D.V.A. Raghavamurthy, Adjunct Professor and Advisor, Center for Space and Research, begin this 2-day journey by seeking the blessings of the goddess of wisdom and knowledge. So requesting all the dignitaries to please step forward for the lamp lighting ceremony. An auspicious moment and event. This auspicious ceremony, I think the stage is set. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting for the welcome address, the conference chairman and Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Laviraj Gupta, sir, for his welcome address.
A very good morning, everybody. What a great, what a grand, and what a meteoric day today. I stand tall here to welcome the dignitaries for the second International Conference on Small Satellites. We have the privilege and honor to have Shri Somanath ji as the chief guest of the day today. We welcome you, sir, and your presence here would really embark us on a new journey to the space. We are very sure that with your presence over here, with your aura over here, we are already there above the Kármán's line. We welcome our very own Honorable Chancellor Sir, the Member of Parliament, Shri Ashok Mittal ji. I'll call him Dr. Ashok Mittal ji now, as the presiding officer. So you have always been a guiding light and you are always there for us. I welcome the dignitaries and the officials from Society of Small Satellites and Systems, because they are the only ones who have given us the privilege and the opportunity to have the galaxy of ISRO and space scientists here. I welcome all of them here. I personally feel that today LPU is not that energetic. Why your claps are not good? Let's have a good round of applause for all of them. Do you always want this escape velocity to come to that, high valence orbit? Please do not do so. Believe me, I was reading about, when I was given an opportunity to speak, I was reading about small satellites. The name may sound a little different to you, but small satellites are the ones who are going to pave new dimensions and directions in space. They'll provide the cost-effective, unique, and new forms of communication all across the space. One very important thing which I was also talking to the chairman ISRO, that now ISRO, as per the directives of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has opened doors for privatization, and this becomes one of the grandest opportunities for the youngsters of LPU to become the SpaceX, Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic of tomorrow, because that is the grand opportunity which he has come up with. I wish that coming 2 days would make great meaning out of the word small satellite, so that we all together can really speed up to the space in times to come. I wish the organizing committee a grand success. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, space scientists, opportunity beckons us. So, what this conference has in store for all of us, I would request adjunct professor and advisor, Center for Space Research, LPU, former director, Earth Observation System, ISRO headquarters, Professor D.V.A. Raghav Murthy, to please give the introduction of the conference.
Namaste to Chancellor and Madam Chancellor and Somanath ji, Secretary Department of Space, and Laviraj Gupta ji, Monica Madam, and our President Koteswar Rao, and our very close friend from DRDO, Shastri. So namaste to all dignitaries. This is a great opportunity for all of us actually, for us who have worked in ISRO and for those students, staff of LPU to gain knowledge from this particular conference. We had first conference in 2019, ICSS 2019, and second, we have a policy in our society that every 2 years we should conduct an international conference, at least one. And every year, perhaps, we are conducting national conferences. So this is the second international conference. So we have chosen this being the very well-known and also very popular and very good name in the internationally. With so many international students are also studying here. And national students from all parts of the country are studying here. So, and we had a great opportunity by their own calling us actually. So I have become a part of them. And then Center for Space Research is doing a good job and it can do much better now. So this is the starting point. So for opportunity for all the students. So we are conducting on small satellites how the total scenario is changing in the world, in the space infrastructure. Earlier single satellite, single missions, or 2 or 3 satellites, single mission, or a few satellites, multiple missions. Now it is jumping into constellations of satellites. Constellations of satellites means in thousands of satellites which are going to give with a lot of sensors, lot of applications which is required by the society as well as the governance. So in order to be ready and use that opportunity to develop the sensors, to develop the payloads, to develop the satellites and do research in space. So it is a great opportunity, and for that the exposure of the knowledge is the first point. So that is what we are trying to give in the conference by encouraging the students through expert talks, invited talks from the space experts, and encouraging the students to present papers in the conference. And we have identified 3 to 4 areas. One is satellites, smart satellites, because it has to be autonomous. A lot of work is there to be done at the research level. So smart satellites and payloads. And the other one is communications satellites and communication and navigation related satellites. And the other one is applications. Applications here, the very high business propositions are there. Whatever satellite gives the data, converting it into a usable application by the common man is what it makes it a big business. So 80% of the business in the space sector all over the world is in applications. Some 15 to 20% is in the technology. So we want to rather expose all these areas so that people recognize that and then be leaders in the world. So that is what is the purpose of the conference. And then we have, particularly we have put a business session with a business panel. So this is what is planned under the conference these 2 days. So kindly make use of that, and all of you and your friends also, you ask them to attend. I think we will open it to everybody. Online also they can come. So this is about the conference. Thank you very much.
So the canvas is really very large and the time most opportune. Let us all make the best of these 2 days so that we can be ready when the time comes. So we have with us the President of Society for Small Satellite Services, who is also the former Scientific Secretary, ISRO. He spearheaded ISRO policies and program planning activities and development. So it is time now to see what views he would share with us. So inviting for his address, Dr. V. Koteshwara Rao, President, Society for Small Satellite Services.
The most respected Chairman ISRO, Secretary Department of Space, an eminent scientist and technologist who is well known not only in India but also in all the spacefaring nations across the world, Shri Somanath ji. Chancellor of LPU, Chief Patron for this conference, and Member of Parliament, Dr. Ashok Mittal ji, Pro-Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Registrar, and all faculty of LPU, Dr. Srinivasa Sastry, who is the Director of Directorate of Special Projects, and he is also a member of the Executive Council of the Society. I welcome him also. And of course, Professor Raghavamurthy doesn't need any introduction. He is a dynamic, active Executive Secretary of the Society. And in the audience, I see Dr. Surendra Pal, Sri Krishna Swami, my gurus, and my former colleagues, and so many people across the industry and the universities, and the distinguished delegates for this conference. On this sunny, bright day, I welcome all of you for this great conference. Small satellites, I assume and I am sure that nobody in this August gathering has not heard about the term small satellite. Since its birth in the University of Surrey, the small satellite has grown by leaps and bounds. And now it is the baby of not only the spacefaring industries, not only in academic institutes, but also all the leading space agencies are considering it very seriously. And 5 years back, 300 small satellites used to be launched per year. And they estimate in the next coming 5 years, per year, the launch number is mind-boggling. It will be anywhere between 6,000 to 7,000 satellites per year. And by 2030, I am not quoting this, it is a leading Forbes magazine which has predicted the small satellite business value will be touching $60 billion US. And with the initiative taken from ISRO and supported by the space reforms by the present government of India, the space industry is going to see a large participation from private industries and academic institutes. But this needs a huge capacity building. Capacity building not only in terms of money, but major component of that capacity building will be the manpower required. So you cannot create the manpower overnight, and it just doesn't come like that. So the people are to be trained, they are to be encouraged, they are to be enabled to take up the responsible positions either in space industry or of their own startups. So at the society level, what we thought this can happen if this culture is developed right from the stage of the student days in academic institutions. And I tell you, 15th February 2007 was a golden letter day in the history of small satellites. Our own PSLV has launched 104 satellites on that day. Out of that, 103 are small satellites. Okay? On that very same day, the Society for Small Satellite Systems, popularly known as 4S, was born. And intentionally, we have located the headquarters of this society at Tech University with the eye on training the people at university level. So this is the starting of the society. And I am very glad that today the second international conference is being held at LPU, which is another university of a larger scale. I don't take much of your time, but one thing I want to tell to this audience, I know how the hectic is the schedule of a chairman ISRO is. In spite of that, he has taken time because of his love to address the students to come over here and address all of you. And you may not be knowing, his flight was delayed yesterday and he had taken another flight. Anybody else would have simply cancelled. But he had taken another flight. He reached Delhi in the midnight. Immediately he changed the flight, came to Chandigarh in the morning, and he came just now and he is attending. He has spent a sleepless night. That shows the commitment of ISRO chairman for his love of the students. And I also thank profusely the organizers and the management of LPU for giving us this opportunity and conducting this wonderful conference. And I am sure with the elated people here and distinguished speakers, I think this will be a rich experience for the students, not only to learn and also to become leaders in the future. But don't expect any conference to give you all the details. It is only to initiate you into the space business and space industry and space research. I think please get benefited from these distinguished speakers, and I wish all of you a fruitful and enjoyable conference. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now, it is a step forward when we have the opportunity to listen to the scientists of great eminence and repute. Currently, the Directorate of Special Projects, DRDO, working for the design and development of defense satellites and associated space systems and technologies for national security. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next speaker, Dr. PSRR Srinivasa Shastri.
The most respected Chairman ISRO, Secretary DOS, Dr. Somanath ji, and Chancellor LPU and Member of Parliament Dr. Ashok Mittalji and Mrs. Mittalji, and Professor Lovi Rajgupta, Pro Vice Chancellor and Registrar, and my friend Raghav Murthy and Dr. Koteshwar Raoji, President of the Society, and I see in the audience my gurus from Satellite Field, Krishna Swamiji and Dr. Surinder Pal, and many other people, and from industry, Centum representatives are there, and people from LPU, faculty, and most importantly, the students of LPU who are interested. And it is very heartening to see the houseful auditorium like this, very large auditorium and full, and people standing also. So it is very encouraging for a society to have this kind of an audience, and I am really grateful to the LPU and the team there who has made it possible for the second international conference of the society to be held here. It's a very great work, and now I see when we started this small satellite society, it started with a very humble beginning of 15 members and things like that. Then it has grown to 250 people. When we had a first conference, national conference, it was held at Veltec. We had the first national conference, and the second year we had international conference, the first one in Hyderabad, followed by another national conference in virtual mode we had last year, and this year this is the second international conference. And for first international conference, one cosmonaut had attended, and I learnt here one astronaut is coming. Online, okay, online, it's okay, but people are participating, and our society is also getting a wide recognition. And I wish every one of you students also can become members and reap the benefit. Now, there are two ways of looking at small satellites. The bigger satellites can get miniaturized and become small, or the satellite itself can be conceived small and do a small business. So to do a big thing with a small number of, the large number of satellites, but each being small, in constellation mode or in formation flying, will achieve its own goals. And there are advantages and disadvantages of the both modes of realizing the satellites. But undoubtedly, the world is going for a large number of small satellites. Now, when we start, building satellites in large numbers like 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, conventional methods of designing, or we have to think of something like a production line. It has to come, and even the way we test also. Most of the people, I think, they will decide to test it in orbit only. Something that is working will work. You do some functional test and launch it. But 3,000 satellites in a conventional way, each PCB testing and all may not be possible. So we have to think of the methods and address. The conferences like this have to address how do we change philosophically in terms of design, testing, realization, launch, and maintaining on board. So these kind of things, these conferences can address through academia, and people like industry and other people have to address this problem. And once we have large number of objects, around the Earth, it has its own problems of collisions, and we need to know how many things are there, how to avoid collisions, and make each satellite autonomous in its own, while avoiding the collision and creating further debris. We should not cross the flash point where the debris gets, avalanche effect and things like that. That also has to be taken care. And I wish the conferences like this have to be held very frequently to bring awareness in the not only students, and the people who are practicing of designing and launching satellites should also be aware how to take care of the dangers associated with that number increase and to maintain. So without taking much time, I would like to congratulate LPU once again, and thank you so much for providing this opportunity for the society to present well. Thank you so much. Please have a nice 2 days and get benefited from the proceedings of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for invaluable inputs. So now it is time to listen to a personality with vision, dynamism, and strong determination to transform education and transform India. I'm talking about none other than our own pride, Honorable Member of Parliament and Chancellor, lovely Professor University, Dr. Ashok Mittal ji.
Good morning, friends. Today, we have really very auspicious day. This auditorium has witnessed hundreds and hundreds of conferences, one after the other, and all over good. But today I'm really feeling elated, elevated, proud that this conference is being chaired by, as chief guest, none other than Chairman, Indian Science Research Organization and Secretary, Department of Space, Government of India, Shri Somanath ji. Big round of applause. In Mr. Somanath ji, when I see him, I do remember our former President, late Dr. Abdul Kalam ji. Dr. Abdul Kalam ji was an engineer. Dr. Somanath ji is also an engineer. He came from a small village of Tamil Nadu. He is coming from the next state, again, Kerala. He studied in Madras Engineering College at that time, and he studied in a small private engineering college in Kerala. And there he chose his career to join Indian Science Congress when he was a student in 7th semester. Especially students, I think you can see such a big opportunity. Like you, he joined Indian Science Research Organization, and today he is the chairman of one of the greatest, best organization of the world in the space research. I think he is full of qualities, but I think one quality which I find in him, not only him but in his DNA, is the commitment. Along with him, 5 friends also joined Indian Science Congress, but slowly a few shifted out. But he continued his love for the country, he continued his love for the space, he continued his love to do something different for this country and continue to work there. That's the commitment. Didn't change any job, though there were so many lucrative offers in the beginning, in between lucrative offers from international organizations also, but he chose to be part of India, chose to be part of Indian Space Research Organizations. Thank you very much. My friends, colleagues have already told you about his professional competence, though I'm not expert in that. But he is an expert in area of system engineering of launch vehicles. He was closely associated with the different rockets which were launched from India. And he has headed, as a director, many organizations under ISRO earlier before becoming chairman. And when I was discussing with him about his commitment, I think my colleague just shared, he was to take a flight from Bangalore and land at Amritsar, but somehow that flight was cancelled. And it was very easy for him to cancel this trip, but no. He took another flight to Delhi, landed there at 1 a.m., had a small nap for 2 hours, again started at 3 a.m. to reach airport, to take flight to Chandigarh, and couldn't sleep well, but he made a small nap only in the car while coming to our campus. Landed at LPU campus at 8:30 and he was ready at 9 o'clock. So that was the level of commitment. When I was saying him, sir, you are wonderful, you did so. So his colleague told me, but that's not a new to him. It is not a new thing to him. He always does like that. When he work on different projects, different satellite projects, different rockets, it is like him only. He used to sleep 2 hours, 4 hours a day and night put together. 4 hours sleep is sufficient for him. So wonderful ji, your commitment is bringing India to the world map in a big way in the spaces. Thank you very much for bringing our country to a new level. And his ideas. Generally, these kind of organizations very secretive space. It's very difficult to enter there. When I used to go to Bangalore, I went to Bangalore, I think 30 years back, first time. So naturally, I have a love for space since my childhood. So I wanted to see the center. So I was told, no, you can't go near to even that center. Even that road was closed at that time. You can't even go to that road which leads to center. But I think after his arrival, and of course, now everything is open. He is inviting you, all students, to visit the center. He is inviting you all, students, to join there. There are 200 posts, 150 to 200 posts every year. You can apply, and if you are competent and you have a passion, you can certainly be selected and join the ISRO. And I will urge you to try for that. Please do try for that. And tomorrow, after 25 years or so, you could be on the same chair where he is sitting today. Chairman ISRO and Secretary Government of India, Space. Friends, he has opened this sector to private sector also. Another big achievement, I think he is dynamic, so ISRO is also becoming dynamic and inviting private sector to join hands with ISRO so that they can do much better and faster. I think again, big shift in policy. Thank you very much for making private sector part of ISRO. Not only that, he is motivating in a big way startups. Again, students. He is motivating in a big way that let's startups be started in space. And I think you students are really lucky that you have come into this era where you can join jobs, you can have your startups, and you can do so many things in research in space. So I think you're very lucky. Congratulations to all of you. I think, and thanks to Chairman sir. Friends, we have another, I think, very good feature. I think I would like to, I think you all know, but I just like to remind. You might be remembering when Mangalyaan was launched and our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji delivered a speech in New York, Medicine Square. And just before his visit to that area, our Mangalyaan was launched. Cost effectiveness. India, fortunately or unfortunately, does not have the luxury of money, luxury of resources. But that has become our strength. Our resource constraint has become our strength, and ISRO has proved it so well. As I was discussing, Prime Minister told the cost of running a satellite to Mangalyaan per kilometer is less than the cost of running a auto rickshaw. Who could do this? Who could do this? Only ISRO could do this, because they have such a wonderful person who believes in those who have developed in less resources, in family, in studies, in the organization, and have become expert in exploiting the available resources so well that the cost of running a satellite is much less than the cost of running a auto rickshaw. One part. Second part, to make in rocket or to make in satellite which can go to moon, which can go to Mangal planet, is less than in India. is less than the cost of making a Hollywood movie on space. Cost of making Mangalyaan was less than the cost of making a Hollywood movie in space. Again, it tells the competence of the ISRO organizations led by such leaders. And has set a model for the world. American organizations like NASA or Elon Musk, etc., they come and ask them, please tell us, how are you cost effective? So I think they give only one answer, passion. We Indians are passionate for our country, we are passionate for our research, for our work. We work for 20 hours a day. We know how to work in the limited resources. That is the only thing, and you won't be able to do that because this is in our DNA, this is not in your DNA. And I started my discussion with you. Okay, I see him, Dr. Abdul Kalam, and I wish and pray to God that he will also reach to that level. To the best of my knowledge, only scientists, not only in India, only space scientists, not only in India but in the world, who could occupy the biggest seat in the biggest democracy of the world. This shows the strength of ISRO, this shows the strength of our democracy. Friends, we have with us his Space Gold Medal winner from Astronautical Society of India. Congratulations for that also. And many award, many merit award from ISRO, Team Excellence Award for GSL 5, MK3, and so many other things. I think if I start narrating, so it will be unending list. Friends, we have with us Dr. PSR Srinivasan, Sastry Director, Directorate of Special Projects, DRDO, Hyderabad. Thank you very much for enlightening our student community. I would also like to welcome Dr. V. Kuteshwar Rao, President, Society for Small Satellite and former Scientific Secretary, ISRO, who has done a wonderful job, and thank you very much for visiting us. Another thing I would like to share, that ISRO not only advanced in technology, they are advanced in very good HR practices. They not only make rockets, they make very good human beings. I think that's another strength of ISRO. India, of course, could send first person in space, we all know, Squadron Leader Rakesh Sharma in '84. And I hope we have sent recently and going to send in near future also. But our competitors, not competitors, in USA, they are started private space tourism, and I hope ISRO will also come out with space tourism very soon, and I will be happy to book my ticket with us. 2 tickets. And I hope some of you will be part of that project. Friends, LPU, when it comes to LPU, I know LPU is doing very well. You already had a space monitoring satellite, down station satellite, and doing very well and monitoring, I think, more than 1,000 satellites. Please continue to do that. But today, after arrival of our chairman, very worthy chairman of ISRO, the new opportunities have opened up, and they are ready to support us. Society is ready to support us, and we would request them that they have opened a center in university in South, very good, and second center should be in the north, which should be in LPU. I think they will agree to my request. And Separately, I don't have the technical data, but I'm ready at least for in the year one to spend at least it could be more because I don't have the data. 2 crore rupees for space work in LPO. And I'm also thankful to Professor PJSKV's Praksh Rao from ISRO, I think, who is responsible for making this visit happen. And of course, this was with the help of Professor Raghav Murthy, our supporter, and he's always support to LPU and with us. Thank you very much supporting LPU in a big way. And I'm very happy that Team LPU is also doing very well, led by Dr. Laviraj, Dr. Monica, and some of you have done a wonderful job to make this conference happen. And in the space area also, Dr. Chandra Prakash, Dr. Sumit, Dr. Daljit, Dr. Manish, Dr. Rajiv, Dr. Ramandeep, Dr. Padnav, Dr. Vipul, Dr. Runjam, and Dr. Jay, Sukhpal, and all other teachers, and some of the students are also doing very well. I have been told there is a group of 40 students, and I have requested leaders here that please make these 40 students visit ISRO as soon as possible, so that they can at Bangalore they can see from their eyes and how the center works and how you will find the vibes, the positive vibes. You'll get this opportunity later on. I know you must be having so many questions to ask, but I'm not an expert. But they will continue to do, and you can share your views and put questions. And I would also like to be part of that delegation if they allow me. Thank you very much. And I know this conference of today will certainly help us and do something good in the field of space. And I have been told a lot of papers we have got and are going to be published in the top journals Q1, Q2 of the world. Congratulations for that to all researchers, teachers, and students who are doing it. And we need to work, LPU need to work in a big way in the space area. And of course, we have the blessings of all stalwarts, all stars of space research who will help us to do that. Thank you very much. And I would request my students, my teachers, that no occasion could be better than this, that we have with us Chairman ISRO and Secretary Department of Space, Government of India. May I request you to give a standing applause in a big way to our guests.
Thank you, sir, for once again showing the path ahead and the commitment, and also being magnanimous in sponsoring the small satellite mission that now LPU is on. So we've had a glimpse of his professional credentials. We've heard that he is a very, very effective engineer, a very passionate professional, and above all, a committed and humble human being. Ladies and gentlemen, it's most opportune that let it come from the man of the moment, our chief guest of the day, Shri Somanath ji.
Good morning, LPU. Good morning to each one of you. our chief patron of this conference, Shri Ashok Mittal ji, Honorable Chancellor of LPU and member of the Rajya Sabha, Madam Mittal ji, Dr. Koteshwar Rao, President of the Small Satellite Society, Professor D.V.A. Rakhamurthy, Conference Chair, Dr. P.S.R. Srinivasa Shastri from DRDO, Professor Loviraj Gupta, Pro VC, all the faculty of LPU, and also the veterans of ISRO who are here, Professor Pal, Krishnamurthy, our Prabhakar, many others I am seeing. So thank you for this opportunity given to me to come over to LPU and to be amongst you on this conference. So thank you so much. So I believe the troubles I have taken is worth today after seeing this conference and the large number of students assembled here for this conference. I am really pleased to see and find this opportunity that the Small Satellite Society has created within LPU to kindle the passion for space program. I think really wonderful. I believe the words of the Chancellor that they are committed to create that type of enthusiasm and interest in space sector within this university is really wonderful. And I believe it will take a long way right from today after the conference. The interest and passion that will be created within the youngsters will be carried forward in the days to come, where LPU will become a center where we can look forward to build satellite for our space program. I think that's what we want to see. Now, we think small is beautiful, but the small is not that easy to conceive and make compared to the big ones. And that's a difference. Small satellites are definitely the most interesting thing, but it is most difficult thing to make, because the systems, when you want to compress to a very small package which having all the functionalities of the big one, it becomes a big challenge in terms of system engineering, putting them together in a functionally together without compromising what you want to achieve in a functional satellites become a very big issue. I would like to tell you that the whole initiative of building small satellites, though started elsewhere, as Sri Koteshwar Rao just mentioned, but then that has been adapted to an organization like ISRO. And we were successful in creating some very good small satellites. But more importantly, it is not creating them within the organization, but taking to the universities and students and those communities and build them there and then launch through our launch vehicles in ISRO. And this is what we did. And this interest and passion that has been created by some of the leaders who are sitting here, I am really happy that this is continuing across this country. And probably you may not be knowing that we are trying to build a 75 satellite launch during August of this year to commemorate with the 75th anniversary of our independence. And that too going to be built in universities and colleges. I think this is again yet another most interesting thing as far as the small satellite sector is concerned. But though the conference is on small satellite, I am not going to limit my address on small satellites alone. I would like to speak more of space and how that space is still continuing to be very interesting and very enthusing to people like us and also to the common people. For universities like LPU, I think you people are now looking at your profession, you are students of science or maybe engineering or maybe natural sciences or may not be connected to science at all, it doesn't really matter. But the impact the space sector is creating in each one's life, in the economy of the nation, I think all of you are very well aware of. If you are not, you better be aware of. The point which I want to make here is that the space sector today stands at something like $440 billion worth economy. And it is poised to become something like $1.5 trillion economy by maybe another 25 years down the line. And this expansion of space sector is going to happen in various domains. It may happen in launch vehicles. As you see today, new launch vehicles are coming up every now and then. You would have watched what Elon Musk is doing, and he is launching rockets after rockets, building new spaceships to go to Mars, and new rockets are coming up in other parts of the world as well. New spacecrafts are being built, including fleets of satellites, which actually going to provide in a big way the internet communication to your handsets. There were many attempts across the years in building such large constellation of satellites to provide direct communication to handheld devices, and they couldn't succeed. But then there is a success visible now, and this is going to be becoming the order of the day. So is the case of rockets, where we believed rockets will never be like aircrafts. They will have to be one-shot devices. That's what we believed. Except for space shuttle, there were no practically reusable rockets were there. But Elon Musk showed that it is possible to convert expendable rockets to reusable rockets. But still, there is a long way to go. You know that rocket, only the booster part is recovered. The upper stage is still not recovered. So, a lot of things are happening in the rocket side, on the satellite side. And they are going to expand in numbers, they are going to expand, increase in numbers, because thousands of satellites, as you just heard, are going to be built and launched. But the most interesting part is none of this. It's actually the secondary effect and the tertiary effects that are going to come in space sector in terms of what these rockets and satellites are going to do in terms of applications, in terms of creating opportunities in terms of creating businesses in the system, where this 1.5 trillion economy is going to be driven primarily by the 70% of that money is going to be driven by the benefits that you are going to come out of space sector, and not really by the rockets and satellites alone. And here there is a huge opportunity. They are all connected. The rockets, satellites, applications are all connected. One cannot stand without the other. Probably, this story is being told many a times, how India did space and how US and other people did space. Now in US, we all know there were missiles first. The missiles became rockets later, and they found rockets can be used to put satellites in orbit. And after understanding that, they found out that satellites can be used to create some applications. And this is how things came out in US. Whereas in India, it came just the other way. We found that applications are going to be very, very important, and we demonstrated to the government that through various programs during Sarabhai's time, yes, satellites can be very useful for the community, and it is important to build them. That came up later, and we built it through various supports through internationally and launched through other nations. Then we found that it is important to have our own rockets, and we built our own rockets. So it is just the reverse direction. So it also shows where the thrust is. All throughout the journey of Indian space program, the thrust was on applications. And we built all of them, that spacecrafts, launch vehicle, everything, to meet the ultimate goal of meeting the applications. And this is the difference between what others did and what India did. And this continued to remain as one of the important cornerstones of our policy on space sector. Focus on applications. And this is very, very important. And in terms of economy that I am speaking, it is going to be the driver. The application side, the utility side is going to be the driver. Why I am saying is, I would like to take you to a little diversion and then tell you the example of what we missed and what we don't want to miss in the future. All of you have mobile phones. Those mobile phones, when it came to India, all those infrastructure which is associated with the communication devices were also has to be installed, like the towers, the communication system, the network devices, and all sort of structures which are required to keep the mobile network running has to be also created. But the ability to manufacture and produce those systems in India were lacking really. Even today, if you really observe very carefully, the economy of this communication revolution that happened did not benefit India per se. It actually benefited in terms of communication. In terms of the ability for us to call somebody to get the data, it actually benefited. But in terms of building those systems, the mobile phones per se, or even the communication equipments which are required to service it, all came from somewhere. It was not built here. And we are now taking actions to ensure that this building do take place in India, and it actually feeds to the economy of this nation. And this is something that we cannot forget when you look at space sector for the future. when you look at applications, we have to ensure that all that feeds to those applications are actually built in this country. We have to ensure that the data utilization mechanisms, the networks, the application delivery platforms, the spacecrafts, the launch vehicles, all will be built in this country, and it actually feeds to the economy of this nation in terms of providing jobs, in terms of providing industry support, and it actually creates a very big economy in space sector. This is what is needed. It is very easy to say this, but then to implement it and to make it happen, you need policies. And this is what is happening nowadays. No, you would have heard about the reform process. Space sector is getting opened up, and private entrepreneurs are welcome to come to this. We are just starting. I think there are still concerns, worries within the minds of various people. What exactly is happening here? Are we really privatizing? Are we really, these private people are what they are really going to do? The thrust is really in developing applications that will create markets for space services, create those structures which will be built in India itself that will support these expanding markets. It will also help to build the spacecrafts and other applications within this country, also provide all the launch services using rockets which will be built in this country. So if all of this have to happen, it will not happen if you simply go through a beaten track. It will happen only when innovations comes to our midst. And how innovation can come? It will come only when new people, new ideas are created and it is supported. That's why the space sector reforms is going to happen. We want young people like you to come and take up this responsibility. Look at how you can create new ideas and how to convert into practical results in terms of building new systems. Let it be a small satellite. Let it be small satellite. Why I'm telling is, recently I have had an opportunity to meet a lot of startups in this sector. At least 50 startups are there in space sector in India today. 10 to 15 of them are very, very seriously working in space sector, and others are just trying to figure out how to make a good idea and then take it forward. But in those 15, I am see great opportunity, great prospect. At least 2 or 3 of them are building rockets. They have already designed the rocket which they want to build. They have started testing their propulsion modules. Some of them are already with ISRO, trying to test those engines in our facilities, and we are providing the support to them. And they have assembled a group of engineers, young people having no experience on space sector at all. But of course, they being mentored by some of the retired hands from ISRO and other organizations to help them to build this. They are working behind the scene. Probably you may not be aware of them. You might not have seen them. Probably you would have seen some TV shows where some of those leaders have featured. But I can tell you that I have had an opportunity to meet some of them, and they really inspired people, like the inspired people of ISRO. All of them are very, very charged up to say that we are going to become somebody worth recognizing in the days to come. And they are going to build those rockets. I also have seen some people who are building satellite systems. Some of them came to me. In fact, they were trying to design a deployable system for satellites. They were not successful. In the first many months, they have been struggling to fix a small issue. And we are there to help them. We told that you come over, we will discuss with you and tell you. We had quite a bit of learning, and we are ready to help you to understand that those difficulties and help you to tide over those difficulties and become successful. And they came, and they are going to launch in the next PSLV. They are first of mechanisms for satellite separation. And we are giving them that opportunity. And many of them are trying to build small satellite platforms, which they want to demonstrate so it can be commercially exploited for hosting payloads of others in the days to come. And some of them are working on very interesting problems, like how to find out colliding possibilities of satellites and observe them and create data for others so that the orbital collisions and debris management can be well controlled. Some of them are developing mechanisms by which you can capture some satellites in orbit and deorbit them. This is another startup work in India. Probably you wouldn't have ever thought about such an idea coming from a group of Indian students and trying to build something like this. I'm not telling that these are not ideas. It has already captured attention of people in the West, and they are already inviting them to come over and possibly acquire them if there is a good opportunity to acquire them. So it is that level of work is actually happening. People are working on softwares which are specific for space program, and they are also making headlines today. So I don't want to go each one of them, but I want to tell you that youngsters in this country are really working very hard to make a mark in space sector. So this is a time in which young people who are starry-eyed, you would have heard about, you would have wondered about cosmos, would have seen the glory of space travel, you all wanted to work in space sector, and probably we are not able to enter into ISRO. You said that the roads are all blocked for you to enter into ISRO. But still, your roads are not blocked at all. It's all within your reach. You can create your own space enterprise. And I want to tell you, for doing that, ISRO is there with you. Space sector within this country, if it has to expand, it is possible based on the baseline that has already been created through the space program of this country. This space baseline which is created here is going to help you. Each one of you, whoever is interested and willing to take up this mantle to take forward to make our country great, we are ready to help you. So this is an offer that we give through the space sector reforms. And this will be through the process of hand-holding those who want to understand the nitty-gritty details of how to do certain things. It may be through the providing the facilities within the ISRO for you to use, because it will take hundreds of crores to establish. For example, if you want to conduct a thermovacuum test, you won't get an equipment like that anywhere else. You can come over and we will give you at a subsidized rate. Don't ask me the real rate. And we will also give you facilities where you can conduct many tests and get confidence about it. And we will also provide you people who will give you that expert advice which you will never get for whatever money you pay. This is what we offer. So it is an open call for everybody who has a vision, who has an ambition to put something in space sector. For that you don't have to be a great scientist. I tell you, you will think that for working in space sector you need to be a Einstein. Absolutely not. What you need is an idea. And if you can collect 5 of your friends who can work on that idea, you will always find brighter people than you everywhere. So if you have an idea, to convert that idea to something that is tangible, you need to collect your friends and colleagues and experts who are there. They will work for you. You also need to find out how the business comes out of it. I think that also is equally important. Because space sector is no longer going to be simply a topic in which that you do some wonderful things and midway you can't take it further and you die there. No. It has an opportunity of commercial exploitation, and you need to find out where that really matters. And if you can collect all of this, of course, this will grow to a size which is substantial, as Elon Musk did. Elon Musk is not an engineer of that class who can understand space sector very well, but he understood how we can get people together to build huge rockets based on his ideas and visions. So that's what I want to tell you, that each one of you have a potential to become an Elon Musk, only if you decide that I will. I also want to tell you the journey of Indian Space Research Organization over the years has been really wonderful. Last 50, 60 years, we were nobody once when Americans were going to moon. We were launching small rockets from the shores of Tumba, all of you know. From that to now, last 50 years of journey has really bridged the gap between the ones who had that ability to go to moon and from us for a travel which is really taken us to Mars as well over the years with a shoestring budget, as already been mentioned. Our budget today in space program is hardly 13,000, 14,000 crores, which is nothing compared to the 16 lakh crores annual budget of this country. So for a small money, that investment the government makes, we have been able to build our own rockets having up to 4-ton capability, satellites weighing 5 tons of which provides you communication services, a navigation cluster that we have, which provides the IRNSS, the NAVIC services. We also have scientific missions like Chandrayaan, the Mangalyaan, Aditya L1, which is going to happen, and even Astrosat, which is functioning very well. Almost 51 spacecrafts are currently in orbit, which provides the services for various sectors, and we are operating 51 satellites. We also operate 3 fleets of rockets. We build them all for this money. And this money is, if you compare with the, our Manrekha program, which is running, which is something like 60,000 crores an annual. Our defense budgets, I don't want to announce here, it's huge, compared to what you spend on space sector. The goal of the government today is to change this scenario altogether. It is not possible for governments to fund it to increase the funding in substantial scale than what they provide you for space sector. 15,000 crores cannot become 50,000 crores next year. It is not possible for governments to provide that much. It can be provided only if the investment happens from the private equity, private people participate in this whole space program. They can build the rocket, they can build satellites, they can provide services. And it's not an idea. I want to tell you that things are changing. The next satellite we are going to launch from Kourou through Ariane is called GSAT-24. This satellite is actually built by a private company in India. And it is built by ISRO, of course. The funding is from them. And we are going to launch it for them as a full-fledged satellites for private use. This has already happened in India. And we have already decided that the PSLVs which we have been building and launching within ISRO is going to be built by an industry consortium. And the industry consortium has built this process, and we have already offered 5 of our PSLV to be built by them at their responsibility and launch it for a commercial purpose. And after this 5 is launched, they are going to launch PSLV as they wish, because we are already handing over the PSLVs to a private company consortium for operating it in a regular manner. So this is also happening. I believe through these processes, we will create companies and organizations in this country who are ready to take up larger roles than that earlier they used to take. So this is a change which is happening. What we want through this process is to create a McDonnell Douglas or a Lockheed Martin or a Boeing within this country to happen. Again, going back to the way in which it was created in US and India, we would like to do the reverse direction. The Boeing and McDonnell Douglas and Lockheed Martin existed prior to the bigger space program of US. And when the NASA came, they had to only make use of these people to build those systems for the space program. But in India, we have to engineer those industries to create space enterprises within them. Currently, the space activity within, say, one of the biggest conglomerate in this country, Larsen & Toubro, for a 60 or 70,000 crore annual turnover company, the space sector budget is, turnover is very, very small. I don't want to tell the magnitude here. If they have to really scale up and take great interest in space sector, only way is to hand over much of the volume of the work to them. I think some of the industry captains are also here. They will also take up some major roles in this type of expansion that is going to happen. Unless the scale of operations become bigger, industries will no longer be interested to take it to a higher level. This we have realized, and this is what we are going to do to make this happen. I believe in the coming days, something wonderful are going to happen, like rockets will be designed in private companies. Not the small rockets, the big ones. Maybe the next generation after GSLV Mark III, the GSLV Mark IV, will be designed and developed in private company, not in ISRO. And they will be building and launching them through such associations of industries who will be taking responsibility of different parts to be built by them and to be assembled and launched. And ISRO will be there at the behind as a supporter, as a knowledge provider, as an industrial architect or something like that, so that the whole success and quality of that can be assured. And this is the new changed domain or roles that we are willing to take up. It is to create a space enterprise in this country, not to bring down the size of ISRO or bring down the organization, but to expand the 15,000 crore space sector to say 1 lakh crore space sector in this country. This is possible only through this means. And for this, the steps that the Small Satellite Society taking in this type of conferences are very, very important. One is to capture the imagination of the people of this country, youngsters, to get into this domain. It will be in the domain of building small systems for spacecraft. Sometimes some of you may build a sensor, some of you may build a electronic card, some of you may build an idea that will allow the computer to become very, very small, or communication equipment to become extremely small, or a power system to become extremely small, so it will fit into a satellite. You will create the mechanism by which this can be produced at low cost. Never ever done before. You will create an innovative idea in each of this. This is what we want you to invest on, work on. I think these innovative ideas will be captured by the people who understand this in industries, and they will take it further. I am very sure about it. We should also make sure the people work on various elements of space sector. It is not satellites and launch vehicle alone that makes space sector, I believe. It is the application side, the application delivery side, the commercialization side, the market side, the business side. All of this requires attention of people. That's why if some of you are business management students here, some of you may be lawyers here, now all of them have an opportunity in space sector today. All of you have an opportunity. So I wish that this type of conferences kindle the passion in you to work in space sector, and come up with ideas, come up with groups, tasks which will take you to find how to work in teams and create from ideation to realization, how to seek help from people who knows the subject, but of course not to be pampered by them, but to find your own path of difference than what the earlier generation did, so that you will get noticed. And also understand the space is an unforgiving sector. It is not like the one which you have been familiar with in other domains of engineering. You need to pay great attention to detail to make it successful. So it requires a cultural difference between what you do in regular engineering to space sector. So all these understandings will come once you start working on it. I believe that all of you in LPU has an ambition. I believe it's such a wonderful university. I always wanted to come here. But then this is an opportunity that is given to me. When I was sitting yesterday night, I was never thinking that I should cancel and go away, but I wanted to find a way, even if I am late, to be part of your program. So I am very happy that almost I could make it today morning. I look forward to continue the interaction and association with LPU in the long term. And thank you so much once again for this opportunity. And with this, let me declare the conference of this society today. It is named very interestingly, and it says Small Satellite Services to Anybody, Anywhere, Anytime. So it gives you the flair of what is changing in this sector. That earlier we were thinking that space is going to be a very specifically providing services, but now it is seamlessly connected to the life of us. Even now the satellites are providing flight connectivity. The flight entertainments are now beamed through satellites. Your mobile services soon will be from the spacecrafts. You will never know. The towers will become vanishing. Your DTS services, though it's provided today, but even DTS services are going to vanish in another 1 or 2 years, and you will be working on only internet-based services for most of your entertainment sector. Their satellites are going to play a very, very important role. Your imaging services will become integrated with your entire applications, that you will never know where from these images are coming to your mobiles or devices. It may be coming from satellites, coming from drones or other platforms seamlessly into your systems. Your navigation services, which you know today, the GPS and our Indian Navic services are also there, and they will be part of every activity that you do, knowingly or unknowingly. So satellites and the services that are provided through satellites will become the part of your life. You have no escape from it, and you will be inextricably connected to these satellites, with whether you want it or not. So satellites are there with you, and some of you will definitely be working in spacecraft side. I am sure about it, but I invite you to look for much more bigger canvas that is in front of you. Wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for showing us the bigness of the opportunity. And look at the destiny. This bigness of the opportunity comes from a word that starts with small satellites. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to unleash the potential in the satellites industry. And like always, we are So it's time to release the conference proceedings. Can I request all the dignitaries to please unribbon the conference proceeding CD? What a great opening it has been, especially with the presence of our eminent chief guest, Shri Somanath ji, Chairman, Indian Space Research Organization. So we would like to felicitate the Honorable Chief Guest. Can I request Chancellor Sir and worthy Pro-Chancellor Ma'am to please present a small token of love and gratitude on behalf of the LPU family to this personality of eminence. Chancellor Sir and Pro-Chancellor Ma'am to present to Dr. V. Kateshwar, our President, Society for Small Satellite Services. Requesting once again the dignitaries to please present a small token of love and gratitude to Dr. PSR Srinivasa Shastri, Directorate of Special Projects, DRDO. Requesting Dr. Ragamurthy to please proceed with the further proceedings. Thank you, dignitaries. Yes, Krishna Swami. What? No. Yes. Profiles. With the permission of Chair, I will proceed with the next program. Sir, we have in the society, in the international conference, we always would like to give award to a
scientists who have significantly contributed for the satellite technology, because our society is dealing with small satellites, technology and applications, and now constellations are also coming now. So we wanted to recognize the people who have full lifetime. They have spent their life and energies without any time, like what Somanath has told, with a total dedication to the nation. They have taken it as a work of God only. So they have spent their lives. So we select the scientist and we recommend for giving an award to those scientists. Today, in this conference, we are from the society side, we had a single-man committee to select the scientists, and they have selected 2 scientists to be given, and for the award of 1 lakh each, and we are taking your precious time to conduct this event on your stage, and like our chairman ISRO, Somanath, I request to give the award to the those 2 scientists. Now I am announcing their selection of the committee. One is Shri M. Krishna Swami. I request somebody to I just want to tell about Krishna Swami before presentation happens. I want to tell, sir, just 1 minute I will tell about our awardee, Krishna Swami. He has been there from the beginning of, beginning days of the ISRO, and he has contributed a lot of new designs to be transformed into inertial sensors and mechanisms in VSSC and ISRO Inertial Systems Unit, and those are the crucial systems for many satellites from which India has got lot of benefit. And then he has become a project director for a very special project like Cartosat-1, which is the first civilian domain 3-dimensional imaging satellite of the whole world. So, and that he has spearheaded the design, though afterwards I became the project director of that satellite. Why it was shifted to me is much higher level, very important project was given to him, that is called, we called it Technology Experiment Satellite. The Technology Experiment Satellite came into existence because there was immediate requirement. Just before that there was Kargil war and lot of people were lost there. So India required an immediate observing system better than 1 meter, so that the movement of the people and other things is possible, without which you cannot observe the borders and give you. It was a very important one. And the leadership was given to Sri Krishna Swami, and he has led the team with almost 8 to 9 totally new technologies development, which elsewhere in the world would have taken 5 to 6 years. He has completed in 1 year on a war footing basis with all the people, and he led the project and he delivered the satellite for aiding our strategic applications. So for this, he is being awarded. So, please.
experience sharing. It is over to the body.
Very good morning to all of you. It is really a great pleasure to be among with you and receiving this award for my simple contribution of dedicated satellite for serving the Jawans of our country, and that safeguarded all the persons of our India. And actually, you are aware, 1999, the Kargil war happened. That time we were not knowing how it is happened actually. Kargil is actually behind Himalayas. Normally our soldiers will come out, they vacate the outpost and come by November, December, then go back only by April. By the time they are gone, all the posts have been occupied by the others. So there was no solution at that time, what is happening behind the border. So I was requested, actually that time Prime Minister has requested us, and Kalam was behind that. He has requested, can we make a satellite so that we can observe what is happening at the border. Then we realized that time we didn't have technology to see an object below or lesser than 5 meters. So we thought about it, how to realize it. There are some techniques, something called step and stare. If you stare at a particular place for more time, we may be able to observe more details. So we applied that technology, that is a step and stare technology. Normally when we are imaging, the satellite has to be standstill. But we have a doubt, we are just moving it, then the satellite image will be clear or not. But our control systems, actually it was helped by the control system and the stability of everything has been designed by Dr. Kesavaraju. He was also sitting here. So he has done the step and stare concept of implementation of the satellite, and it is called the backward motion compensation. Actually satellite travels at a speed of about 7.5 kilometers per second at an altitude of 500 to 600 kilometers. So it is moving at that speed and this has to take the image. But in addition to that, we have to rotate the satellite in a backward motion so that its motion is compensated, it will look at the same place for more time. In that process, we got able to make the 5 meter resolution camera to make less than 1 meter resolution camera. So we could even see a person carrying a barrel or something like that, able to monitor on the border side. And this was not, technology was not available. The satellite has to be steered. It should be a high agile satellite. And it required a lot of torquing or force to rotate the satellite, because at that time it was a heavy satellites. So we realized it with high rise and reaction wheels, higher propulsion tanks. So almost 16 new technologies. And even the high resolution data should not be transmitted to anywhere else. It has to be directly transmitted to the receiving station. So we have to make a RF beam, a very narrow beam. And also that was to be realized through a programmable, steerable beam. Actually that was nowhere else available. Everywhere have wider beam, anybody in India can receive that. But Dr. Walji and all the concepts raised, the electronically switchable phased array antenna. Not only 2 beams, there are 2 beams where the satellite is moving at 7.5 kilometers per second in the orbit. It will just beam, one beam will point towards Delhi where it is urgently required to receive. And as parallel backup beam, so always we have a backup systems and the things. Another beam simultaneously will steer the beam to the Hyderabad station, which is a backup station for receiving, processing and supporting the requirements. And the satellite was actually almost 60 new technologies has been identified. And when you go for a higher resolution, the data rate will be very high and the data volume will be very high. So we cannot transmit it, all the data directly to the ground. We have to do compression system. We have to compress all the data volume to minimize it so that it can be transmitted within the bandwidth available from the transmission. That also the compression system has been developed. And we have to evaluate the system, how the compression system really worth or it is, the loss is there, and how we are recovering the whole images. So almost 16 new technologies has been identified to realize that. And all we realized that within 18 months, by 2001 October, we launched the satellite. I took the satellite October because since we have used a lot of new technology, we have certain uncertainties. A lot of new issues have come up when we are testing that type of systems. Then actually we have resolved all the things. Normally 1 week to 2 weeks it will take from ISRO, we take the satellite center, take to the SAR, do all the testing and launch it within 15 days. But this satellite called for, because of the high resolution requirement and higher performance requirements, we have to extensively test and see this performance will be all right. We wanted to ensure 100% sure. So we have created a condition as though the SAR we have seen, the satellite is as though it is in the orbit condition. You removed every umbilical and then see the performance is all right. So that was fully demonstrated and successfully launched. And actually God also was graceful. October 22, 2001, the moment 10:43, when 23 we launched, by afternoon we started a heavy rain. Actually launching will take place or not, we are doubted, but successfully launched. And within 2 days, we could get back the image, everything, and we have taken the image to Chairman and Prime Minister. We have shown this is what we have achieved. Fortunately, by December, you are aware, the Parliament attack was there. The whole satellite was dedicated to the nation, and they used this almost 10 years. The satellite survived. So you performed beautifully, and we could monitor how this infiltration test is taking place in the border. We could see clearly within 10 kilometers from the other side of the border, a vehicle comes and sits there, and people are dispersed to go in different directions. You could even see the path where the people are entering into our border. So we could easily fulfill those points, monitor all these points. We have plugged everything by the satellite imagery, and the satellite is made to see such that all the borders are continuously monitored, not over there, but every day it is continuously monitored. When the satellite goes over the paths, we program it in such a way it will track all the borders and used to give the imageries instantaneously. So it was really a dedication, and our team has put wholeheartedly, even the ladies who are all even the family stage, they all contributed significantly, day and night work. We called them as Team Empowered Spirit, is the technology experiment satellite, and it was well appreciated by all the people in our organization, and it has significantly contributed to the nation's safety and security of our people. So this I wanted to highlight. Of course, we started our career in 70s, and we all worked with the Kalam for controlling first development of the SLV. The FinTIF control was my single contribution from there. And we have one of the complex things in the launch vehicle or the satellite were the inertial systems, inertial navigation system. These are all the very strategic systems. Nowhere the technologies were available in our country. So we all mastered this. We gone through, in 70s, we had all the NASA CRs and NASA TRs, you may be knowing. Our library, VSSC library was well received. At that time, Dr. Sarabhai has brought all the NASA reports, whatever has been developed in the past 20 years of NASA, were available in that. We got into the VSSC in the early 70s. We spent every day in the library only. We got all the information with respect to the launch vehicle design, satellite design, inertial system, every area of space research. We could even build a small experiment we wanted to simulate almost space environment where spherical air bearings, and we simulated the controls, some cold gas control systems we demonstrated. We built the reaction wheels, solar array drives, inertial reference systems, and we were making use of the right-tuned gyros. That was the state of the art at that time. And now almost all the launches are using those systems for our navigation system, that is providing position and velocity information of the launch vehicle. And whatever we are achieving, for ballpark within 1 kilometers of the orbital altitude as well as the inclination is provided by those type of systems. After coming back to ISRO Satellite Center in Bangalore, I could able to contribute to the satellites. And then of course further requirements came actually. This one satellite may not be sufficient. We have got out 2 series of satellites, 3 more satellites for 0.5 meter resolution has been realized. So we can even smaller objects which are entering can be identified. And afterwards it has been expanded. About 7 satellites have been realized and successfully serving the people of India. So I would like to thank LPU honoring me, and then I would just thank Chairman ISRO and the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor and respected dignitaries on the stage to support my activities during my course of time. Now I am still doing 3 satellites. After retiring from ISRO, we have done 1 satellite for university. NI University has done 1 satellite in 2017. It was launched. With the Stafford University, we have 1 more satellite we are making to provide the monitoring of pollution or the stable burning issues from the Haryana state. We are providing the satellite. 1 more satellite as a student effort. We are building it. And then we were part of the 75 Square Satellite program also to build bigger satellites so that we will have real application. So with this, I would like to thank the organization, thank the LPU for supporting me, all these things. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. This award was sponsored to the society by Anant Technology Limited, Hyderabad, 1 lakh rupees. So we appreciate their contribution. Then our next scientist selected by the committee is Dr. V. Kesavaraju. He is Kesaraju, actually he has been in the mission director for mini satellites. Mission means actually how to use the satellite. The programming is done by his contributions, and for the award, whatever Krishna Swami has told, the technology experiment satellite, in that the step and stare technique has been developed by him in order to make a 5.8 meter resolution satellite to view 1 meter. The technology is a very crucial for that mission, otherwise we would not have got that performance. And I think I should, because he is the Mars mission director, MOM director, whatever Mars mission director, whatever Chancellor sir was telling that we could make the transit successful first time and also make cheaper, and that is because of the path and the mission designed by Dr. V. Kesaraju. For these two contributions, he is being awarded significant contributions to the satellite technology, sponsored by Centum Electronics Limited, Bangalore. And so I request Chairman sir to.
Thank you. Thanks to this committee for recognizing me for this award. I had the good opportunity to associate with some two major developments in the organization. So at that time, though we had the facility to fabricate a 1 meter cross-access camera, resolution camera, we didn't have the enough data rate capability of about 150 megabits per second. That is what is required to transmit a 1 meter resolution data. So then we were forced to think over what is that we need to do in order to have a 1 meter resolution imageries to the ground. So then we had thought of the spacecraft need to be stayed over a ground region for longer durations than otherwise what is permitted by the orbit. So that is how we could improve the resolutions in the along direction, and the across direction resolution was provided by the optics automatically. And also along with that we had lot of developments and taking the imageries not in the direction of the orbit, in any direction, in any desired direction. We had the development of 5 different algorithms, and they could be implemented in the TES spacecraft successfully. And later these technologies we have further incorporated in the Cartosat series missions, Cartosat 1. Cartosat 1 also up to some extent has taken the yaw steering, etc. And Cartosat 2, 2A, 2B, etc., where it is possible to extend the swath in the across direction, and also taking the imageries of a region multi-times so that we can go for a stereo rather than a mono image. All those different developments have taken place, and we established the various centers to help our people to have the imageries for the regions of interest that we could do. And the other contribution what we had is in a Mars, say as we are all aware, we could reach Mars within an uncertainty of 40 kilometers after traveling 600 millions of kilometers. So that means if you see the analogy wise, what I would like to indicate, let us say from here to US, it is about 20,000 kilometers. It is equivalent to about 6 centimeters after traveling a distance of 20,000 kilometers. So the accuracy what we could get in the Mars orbiter mission with respect to the insertion point is quite very good actually. So during throughout its transit time, we could understand where the spacecraft is at a given time and which direction it is moving. So what are our techniques? We followed very obediently all the time, and with that when it is moving, where it is likely to land in. We had very good predictions with respect to the different perturbative forces, the attitude disturbances, etc. Everything we could model very correctly, and could reach the destination in the first time. So one of the Mars records is India is the country that could succeed in the first attempt to reach the Mars very successfully. So that is what one of the highlights of this mission. So I express my gratitude to the organization ISRO for associating me in this type of work at that time. So I also, if you see the present seminar, there are a lot more activities that need to happen from the youth of this country, as well as the industry and the researchers, as well as the government bodies. I wish you all the best in our future activities to make a significant contributions from our country onto this domain, small satellite systems.
Thank you, sir. So, Honorable Chief Guest, sir, we at LPU also have a very research-friendly ecosystem where they have been contributing, and I would request you to please, as I invite the top 50 researchers to come and have a group photograph with the honored dignitaries there. So there are 810, please come on stage for a photograph, and 810 students and faculty have been doing wonderful research initiatives. And the university is giving an awards almost to the tune of 1 crore and 41